Job, chapters 1 and 2. There was a certain man in the land of Ossus, whose name was Job, and that man was true, blameless, righteous, and godly, abstaining from everything evil. And he had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and his cattle consisted of 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, 500 yoke of oxen, 500 she-asses in the pastures, and a very great household, and he had a great husbandry on the earth. And that man was the most noble of the men of the east. And his sons, visiting one another, prepared a banquet every day, taking with them also their 3 sisters to eat and drink with them. And when the days of the banquet were completed, Job sent and purified them, having risen up in the morning, and offered sacrifices for them, according to their number, and 1 calf for a sin offering, for their souls. For Job said, Lest peradventure my sons have thought evil in their minds against God. Thus then Job did continually. And it came to pass on a day that, behold, the angels of God came to stand before the Lord, and the devil came with them. And the Lord said to the devil, Whence art thou come? And the devil answered the Lord and said, I am come from compassing the earth, and walking up and down in the world. And the Lord said to him, Hast thou diligently considered my servant Job, that there is none like him on the earth, a man blameless, true, godly, abstaining from everything evil? Then the devil answered and said before the Lord, Does Job worship the Lord for nothing? Hast thou not made a hedge about him, and about his household, and all his possessions round about? And hast thou not blessed the works of his hands, and multiplied his cattle upon the land? But put forth thine hand, and touch all that he has. Verily, he will bless thee to thy face. Then the Lord said to the devil, Behold, I give into thine hand all that he has, but touch not himself. So the devil went out from the presence of the Lord. And it came to pass on a certain day, that Job's sons and his daughters were drinking wine in the house of their elder brother. And behold, there came a messenger to Job, and said to him, The yokes of oxen were plowing, and the she-asses were feeding near them. And the spoilers came and took them for a prey, and slew his servants with the sword. And I, having escaped alone, am come to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came another messenger, and said to Job, Fire has fallen from heaven, and burnt up the sheep, and devoured the shepherds likewise. And I, having escaped alone, am come to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came another messenger, and said to Job, The horsemen formed 3 companies against us, and surrounded the camels, and took them for a prey, and slew the servants with the sword. And I only escaped, and am come to tell thee. While he is yet speaking, another messenger comes, saying to Job, While thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking with their elder brother, suddenly a great wind came on from the desert, and caught the 4 corners of the house, and the house fell upon thy children, and they are dead. And I have escaped alone, and am come to tell thee. So Job arose, and rent his garments, and shaved the hair of his head, and fell on the earth, and worshipped, and said, I myself come forth naked from my mother's womb, and naked shall return thither. The Lord gave, the Lord has taken away. As it seemed good to the Lord, so has it come to pass. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all these events that befell him, Job sinned not at all before the Lord, and did not impute folly to God. And it came to pass on a certain day that the angels of God came to stand before the Lord, and the devil came among them to stand before the Lord. And the Lord said to the devil, Whence comest thou? Then the devil said before the Lord, I am come from going through the whole world, and walking about the whole earth. And the Lord said to the devil, Hast thou then observed my servant Job, that there is none of men upon the earth like him, a harmless, true, blameless, godly man, abstaining from all evil? And yet he cleaves to innocence, whereas thou hast told me to destroy his substance without cause? The devil answered and said to the Lord, Skin for skin. All that a man has will he give as a ransom for his life. Nay, but put forth thine hand, and touch his bones, and his flesh. Verily, he will bless thee to thy face. And the Lord said to the devil, Behold, I deliver him up unto thee, only save his life. So the devil went out from the Lord, and smote Job with sore boils from his feet to his head. And he took a potsherd to scrape away the discharge, and sat upon a dung heap outside the city. And when much time had passed, his wife said to him, How long wilt thou hold out? Saying, Behold, I wait yet a little while, expecting the hope of my deliverance. For behold, thy memorial is abolished from the earth, even thy sons and daughters, the pangs and pains of my womb, which I bore in vain with sorrows. And thou thyself sittest down to spend the nights in the open air among the corruption of worms? And I am a wanderer and a servant from place to place, and house to house, waiting for the setting of the sun, that I may rest from my labors and my pangs, which now beset me. But say some word against the Lord and die. But he looked on her, and said to her, Thou hast spoken like one of the foolish women. If we have received good things of the hand of the Lord, shall we not endure evil things? In all these things that happened to him, Job sinned not at all with his lips before God. Now his 3 friends, having heard of all the evil that was come upon him, came to him each from his own country. Eliphaz, the king of the Themans, Baldad, sovereign of the Salkians, Zophar, king of the Menians. And they came to him with one accord, to comfort and to visit him. And when they saw him from a distance, they did not know him, and cried with a loud voice, and wept, and rent every one of his garment, and sprinkled dust upon their heads. And they sat down beside him 7 days and 7 nights, and no one of them spoke, for they saw that his affliction was dreadful and very great.
2 Esdras chapter 13. It came to pass after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night. And lo, there arose a wind from the sea, that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man waxed so strong with the thousands of heaven, and when he turned his countenance to look, all the things trembled that were seen under him. And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth, all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth faileth when it feeleth the fire. And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together a multitude of men, out of number, from the four winds of the heaven, to subdue the man that came out of the sea. But I beheld, and lo, he had graved himself a great mountain, and flew upon it. But I would have seen the region or place whereout the hill was graven, and I could not. And after this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet durst fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held sword, nor any instrument of war. But only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been a blast of fire, and out of his lips a flaming breath, and of his tongue he cast out sparks and tempests. And they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid. Afterward I saw the same man come down from the mountain, and call unto him another peaceable multitude. There came much people unto him, whereof some were glad, and some were sorry, some of them were bound, and others some brought of them that were offered. Then was I sick through great fear, and I waked and said, Thou hast showed thy servant these wonders from the beginning, and hast counted me worthy that thou shouldest receive my prayer. Show me now yet the interpretation of this dream. For as I conceive in mine understanding, woe unto them that shall be left in those days, and much more woe unto them that are not left behind. For they that were not left were in heaviness. Now understand I the things that are laid up in the latter days, which shall happen unto them, and those that are left behind. Therefore are they come into great perils and many necessities, like as these dreams declare. Yet is it easier for him that is in danger to come into these things than to pass away as a cloud out of the world, and not to see the things that happen in the last days. And he answered unto me and said, The interpretation of the vision shall I show thee, and I will open unto thee the thing that thou hast required. Whereas thou hast spoken of them that are left behind, this is the interpretation. He that shall endure the peril in that time hath kept himself. They that be fallen into danger are such as have works, and faith toward the Almighty. Know this therefore, that they which be left behind are more blessed than they that be dead. This is the meaning of the vision. Whereas thou sawest a man coming up from the midst of the sea, the same is he whom God the highest hath kept a great season, which by his own self shall deliver his creature, and he shall order them that are left behind. And whereas thou sawest that out of his mouth there came a blast of wind, and fire, and storm, and that he held neither sword nor any instrument of war, but that the rushing in of him destroyed the whole multitude that came to subdue him. This is the interpretation. Behold, the days come when the Most High will begin to deliver them that are upon the earth. And he shall come to the astonishment of them that dwell on the earth. And one shall undertake to fight against another, one city against another, one place against another, one people against another, and one realm against another. And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the signs shall happen which I showed thee before, and then shall my Son be declared, whom thou sawest as a man ascending. When all the people hear his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another. And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together, as thou sawest them, willing to come, and to go overcome him by fighting. But he shall stand upon the top of Mount Zion, and Zion shall come, and shall be showed to all men, being prepared and builded, like as thou sawest the hill graven without hands. And this my Son shall rebuke the wicked inventions of those nations, which for their wicked life are fallen into the tempest, and shall lay before them their evil thoughts, and the torments wherewith they shall begin to be tormented, which are like unto a flame, and he shall destroy them without labor by the law, which is like unto fire. And whereas thou sawest that he gathered another bold peaceable multitude unto him, those are the 10 tribes, which were carried away prisoners out of their own land, in the time of Uzziah the king, whom Salmanasar, the king of Assyria, led away captive, and he carried them over the waters, and so came they into another land. But they took this counsel among themselves, that they would leave the multitude of the heathen, and go forth into a further country, where never mankind dwelt, that they might keep their statutes, which they never kept in their own land. And they entered into Euphrates by the narrow passages of the river. For the Most High then showed signs for them, and held still the flood, till they were passed over. For through that country there was a great way to go, namely of a year and a half, and the same region is called Arsareth. Then dwelt they there until the latter time, and now, when they shall begin to come, the highest shall stay the springs of the stream again, that they may go through. Therefore sawest thou the multitude with peace. But those to be left behind of thy people are they that are found within my borders. Now when he destroyeth the multitude of the nations that are gathered together, he shall defend his people that remain. Then shall he show them great wonders. Then said I, O Lord that bearest rule, show me this. Wherefore have I seen the man coming up from the midst of the sea? He said unto me, Like as thou canst neither seek out nor know the things that are in the deep of the sea, even so can no man upon the earth see my son, or those that be with him, but in the daytime. This is the interpretation of the dream which thou sawest, and whereby thou only art here lighted. For thou hast forsaken thine own way, and applied thy diligence unto my law, and sought it. Thy life hast thou ordered in wisdom, and hast called understanding thy mother. And therefore have I showed thee the treasures of the highest. After other 3 days I will speak other things unto thee, and declare unto thee mighty and wondrous things. Then went I forth into the field, giving praise and thanks greatly unto the Most High because of his wonders, which he did in time. Because he governeth the same, and such things as fall in their seasons, and there I sat 3 days.
The Epistle of St. Paul the Apostle to the Romans, chapter 3. What advantage then hath the Jew, or profit is there of the circumcision? Much every way, chiefly because that unto them were committed the oracles of God. For what if some did not believe? Shall their unbelief make the faith of God without effect? God forbid. Yea, let God be true, but every man a liar, as it is written, that thou mightest be justified in thy sayings, and mightest overcome when thou art judged. But if our unrighteousness commend the righteousness of God, what shall we say? Is God unrighteous who taketh vengeance? I speak as a man. God forbid. For then how shall God judge the world? For if the truth of God hath more abounded through my lie unto his glory, why yet am I also judged as a sinner? Not rather, as we be slanderously reported, and as some affirm that we say, Let us do evil, that good may come, whose damnation is just. What then? Are we better than they? No, in no wise. For we have before proved, both Jews and Gentiles, that they are all under sin. As it is written, There is none righteous, no, not one. There is none that understandeth, there is none that seeketh after God. They are all gone out of the way, they are together become unprofitable. There is none that doeth good, no, not one. Their throat is an open sepulchre, with their tongues they have used deceit, the poison of asps is under their lips, whose mouth is full of cursing and bitterness. Their feet are swift to shed blood. Destruction and misery are in their ways, and the way of peace have they not known. There is no fear of God before their eyes. Now we know that what things soever the law saith, it saith to them who are under the law, that every mouth may be stopped, and all the world may become guilty before God. Therefore, by the deeds of the law, there shall no flesh be justified in his sight. For by the law is the knowledge of sin. But now the righteousness of God without the law is manifested, being witnessed by the law and the prophets. Even the righteousness of God, which is by faith of Jesus Christ, unto all and upon all them that believe, for there is no difference. For all have sinned and come short of the glory of God, being justified freely by his grace through the redemption that is in Christ Jesus, whom God hath set forth to be a propitiation through faith in his blood, to declare his righteousness for the remission of sins that are past, to the forbearance of God. To declare, I say, at this time his righteousness, that he might be just, and the justifier of him which believeth in Jesus. Whereas boasting then is excluded. By what law? Of works? Nay, but by the law of faith. Therefore we conclude that a man is justified by faith without the deeds of the law. Is he the God of the Jews only? Is he not also of the Gentiles? Yes, of the Gentiles also. Seeing it is one God, which shall justify the circumcision by faith, and uncircumcision through faith. Do we then make void the law through faith? God forbid. Yea, we establish the law.